Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Kaylee and today I'm going to be talking through my January TBR. Alright, now I know we're already about halfway through January, and so some of these things on this list I've already gotten to, but I wanted to go ahead and talk about just what I was looking forward to reading for the rest of the month. So I'm going to start with the books that I've already gotten into. The first one is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This book, I believe, could be categorized as magical realism. It is set in a cute little coffee shop cafe in Japan where you can travel back in time, but there are rules. One of them being that you can only stay there as long as your coffee is warm. I won't talk too much about this since I've already read it, and I will talk about it more in my January wrap-up, but it was very cute and charming. I did not expect to cry for several of the stories, but it was so good. The next book I borrowed through my library and read on my e-reader, and that is Salt to the Sea. This is a multiple point of view historical fiction set in World War II. We follow a group of people who are trying to flee from the incoming invading Russians and get to the sea. So this is actually, being historical fiction, it is actually based off of one of the lesser known maritime disasters of World War II, or even possibly the 20th century. So the group that we follow eventually ends up on a German cruise liner turned wartime rescue ship called the Wilhelm Gustloff. This ship was meant to hold something like 2,000 passengers, but during the war it was overcrowded and filled with up to even 10,000 people, and it ended up in a complete disaster as it was torpedoed, and about 90% of the people that were on it lost their lives. We follow a sweet little group that consists of a young nurse, a Prussian soldier who's actually trying to flee the Nazis and has some treasure. There is a young Polish girl, and then we follow from the other perspective this very, very creepy, sociopathic young Nazi soldier. All right, so the next book up on this list I will probably be finished with, hopefully, by the time this video goes up, and that is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This is a fantasy folklore kind of story that is a retelling of Rumpelstiltskin. It is very atmospheric, the perfect read for winter, and I have read other books by Naomi Novik before with mixed feelings. I read Uprooted and I really liked the folklore aspect of it, but there are other parts of the story that were just kind of meh for me. And then I have read the first book in her Temeraire series, which was so much fun, and I hope to kind of continue on with that series this year. But I've been enjoying this one so far, so I'm really hopeful that I will like this one. So one of the things that I'd like to do more this year is just read more translated fiction in general, but also specifically translated Japanese literature or Japanese American, Japanese British literature. So the next book on my list is Inheritors by Asako Serizawa. This is a multi-generational tale that spans about 150 years. It is set in Asia and the US, and we also get a glimpse into the Pacific theater of World War II. And one thing I can gather from reading about this, I don't know too much, and I'm kind of looking forward to going into it a little bit blind, but it is about how war just affects everyone differently and kind of continues to affect us. All right, the next book on my list is Howard's End by Ian Forster. It is said that Ian Forster thought that this was his best book, and what's interesting about it is that it is set in a pre-World War I England and was written even before the war happened. So we kind of get this nice, unique perspective of what England was like and what they even thought of Germany during this time, just on the cusp of World War I happening. It is, from what I gather, a story about class structure, about poverty and wealth, about families and how we sometimes want to push family away. So I'm trying to intentionally make sure that I read more classics this year, and so this is one that I wanted to kind of start January off with, and it's not too long. So I read Ian Forster before. I read A Room with a View like back in high school, but I honestly don't remember anything about it. So I'm just going to pretend like this is my first E.M. Forrester, because it basically is, as far as my memory goes. All right, then we have Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. I have started to read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and then something happened and I never got to finishing it, but I hope to this year. But I've seen the TV series adaptation of it, and I just loved it so much. I felt like it was so magical, and I've heard that her writing in this is really beautiful and lyrical as well, and it's just very mysterious and kind of eerie. This story is about Piranesi, who kind of lives alone in this house that is endless. It is huge, it houses an ocean, and he lives in it alone except for one other person, and this man is called the Other, and he visits him a couple times a week and they work on research together. But as Piranesi is wandering throughout this world, he starts to kind of get clues that someone else lives in this home, and it's kind of very foreboding and creepy. So I'm looking forward to like a really good atmospheric, moody tale. All right, and lastly, for my very ambitious January TBR is The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. This is fantasy, and it is supposed to be one of the best fantasy series of all time. I've heard so many good things about this. I have owned these books probably all last year, and I don't know why I haven't picked it up. But this is the first in a trilogy that is actually part of a greater series that makes up 16 books, and I love myself a good long fantasy series, so I am really excited and hope that I will enjoy it and can really get into this. So in this book, we follow a young boy named Fitz. He is the illegitimate child of a prince, and one of the ways that they're trying to keep him from eventually becoming a threat to the throne is they take him on and they start to train him as an assassin. He also has magical abilities that have something to do with communicating with animals. So I've heard that this book is really good, but that it only gets better from here, and you kind of follow Fitz. In this book, he's a young boy, but eventually he'll be a grown adult man, and so it's kind of neat to get to follow him throughout his lifetime. I've heard that her characters are excellent, and you just grow so attached to them, and she, throughout the series, just rips your heart out, and I'm so excited for it. So that is my January TBR. It is very ambitious, but we'll see if I can get to it. I will make a wrap-up video of all this at the end of the month for you to see what I got to. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye.